Good morning, Zen here. It is May 6th, around 9 in the morning. We just had a decent bout of rain. Probably been raining for a good 2 hours, but it's just misty now. But I've been getting my trash cans out, my buckets, everything I can, and I have a 55-gallon rain drum on the other side of the property, collecting as much rainwater as I can because of the neutral pH of the rainwater and the fact it's not full of chloramine and chloride and chlorine that the city tap water has. And since my avocado tree, which is recovering from transplant shock, and my poor mango tree hiding under the bush over there, I am treating that for anthracnose. And so I want to make sure that they can uptake all the nutrients that they need. So I'm watering them with rainwater so that the pH of the soil doesn't get out of whack and the trees go into shock and can't uptake nutrients. So I'm glad it's been raining. But what I wanted to show you guys today is my persimmon tree over here. I moved down to this property last year in time to see this persimmon tree holding 6 fruits. Okay, now this persimmon tree is over 20 years old, and the fact that it only had 6 fruits surprised me. But when I got down here, all the trees were in really poor shape. They needed pruning. The automatic watering system was on all year round. The soil here is clay, it retains water. So a lot of these trees were drowning in their own water year after year. The apple tree, half of it's died due to root rot. Half of its trunk flares have died. This mandarin orange tree has half of its trunk flares rotted away too, and it was in really poor shape. But what I set about doing was unearthing all the trunk flares, mulching the trees with wood chips, feeding them a combination of compost tea. The compost I make in this compost, that tarp over there, is where I create my own compost. I have a vermicomposting earthworm bin in the garage. So I've been feeding them worm tea. This tree's put on a flush of new growth. So hopefully, and when I got down here, this tree only held about 6 oranges. So it was doing really poorly. But I also got an idea of saving this tree by cutting off signs of it. And I just learned that you can graft citrus onto other citrus trees. So I will be creating a couple grafts here on this healthy grapefruit tree. As you can see, all of this beautiful new growth on this grapefruit tree. And having it continue on the heritage of this tree by converting it, because I'm not a big grapefruit fan, but converting it to orange. So if this tree does end up dying, no worries. I'll have orange branches on this tree as well. But getting back to this persimmon tree, after unearthing the trunk flares, watering it properly, giving it feedings of worm tea, compost tea, I was looking at the blooms here, and I was like, wow, such a difference. It held only 6 fruit last year, and now there are blooms all over this tree. And I was kind of like patting myself on the back. Good job, Zen. You really helped this tree recover. It's going to fruit like crazy this year. But alas, it may not be wholly due to my efforts that this tree is blooming so well. I read up on persimmons and some varieties, and this is believe a Fuyu Asian persimmon variety. They have alternate bearing years. So so this has maybe gone into the habit of blooming like crazy one year, setting a bunch of fruit, and then all the energy that expends into creating that fruit doesn't leave it enough with the tree with enough energy to produce many fruits the following year. So alternate bearing years. So the year before may have been a light bearing year, only 6 fruits, and now it's blossoming like crazy. So what I read you should do is you should start thinning the fruits or thinning the blossoms. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start taking off the blossoms at the very tips or towards the end, and the ones that have not fully developed, I'll start cutting them off. Don't want these things to I don't want all these branches to bear all that fruit. Some of the branches may snap. And like I said, the thinning of the fruit helps the tree conserve energy so that it can produce more fruits the following year. When it goes into alternate bearing cycles, it blooms and makes all this fruit, which depletes the tree of energy, and it won't be able to bloom as well the next year. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I could wait until fruits form, but I mean, there's so many blossoms that I might as well start some of the thinning process now. So I'll take off the tiniest flowers, and I'll take off the flowers towards the tips that may weigh down the branches later on when they form into fruits. And that's what we'll be doing. But I just wanted to mention this for people that are also in the same predicament, wondering why their persimmons don't fruit one year and then they fruit like crazy the year after. So we'll get to thinning this thing, and then I'll shoot another video once the fruits form. And that's all I have to say today. Zen out. Have a good morning.